closing deals to opening minds. This is the Mr. D podcast. I'm Omar Andreasen, and we're about to get real about real estate, success, and the grit that it takes to build your best life. Let's dive on in. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Mr. Deed podcast show. My name is Omar Andreasen, aka Mr. Deed. Now, today we are very happy to have Loodmy Jacques.
I know you decided to change my name, so I'll take it. All right.
Sorry, we were having a little banter back and forth, but as going back, I'm like, dude, Jacques would sound like just so amazing.
I know. It was like a king's name. I love it. I'm going to call my mom. I'm going to say, Mommy, that's it. I'm going to change my name. This is now what it is.
That's it. Listen, let me tell you about Lumi. He's actually a nationally recognized real estate expert, recently named top agent by RealTrends in 2025, ranking among the top 1.5% of professionals nationwide. With over 15 years experience, he actually leads his team at Keller Williams Reserve in West Palm Beach, and he actually hosts the longest running real estate radio show in South Florida since 2012. Tell me a little bit about that.
Hey, yeah, Omar.
Tell me about that. Tell me about that.
Quick here. I don't know how you got that last part. That is not a correct statement.
Which one? Oh, the radio show?
Yeah. I would love to host a radio show.
Well, you know what? Maybe it's something that have you ever wanted to start a radio show?
That is something that I've thought about. Like, that's why I was asking a question about the podcast thing. I'm like, that is something like you get to meet so many interesting people. You get to hear their stories, and it's the same thing. Like, and as a real estate agent, you get to meet all these people. You get to hear their stories, and then sometimes I wish I could have a radio show where I can share the stories that I'm meeting, those clients and situation that I am like, you guys should hear about this. Yeah, that's funny you mentioned that, but maybe I should have started it, but not yet. That isn't my to-do list of things.
You know what? Maybe it's something, if you haven't started your business planning yet for 2026, there you go right here. You look at that. I put it into the universe for you already, just for you, my friend.
I love it. I know you've been doing this. I want to need some pointers from you because, like I said, the hardest part of everything is getting started. Sometimes you want the perfect thing, but it's never perfect. You got to jump in. And what is it they call, say, fail forward, try, fail, and improve?
Yeah, and you know what? You hit the nail on the head. It's never going to be perfect. And it's one of those where you just have to dive in. And the only thing that's going to make it successful is putting the right people around you. You know what? That's anything in life, right? It doesn't really matter what you're doing, whether it's real estate, contracting. As long as you have the right people on your team, that's really what's going to help you be successful. And just jump into it because nothing's ever going to be 100%, no matter what. It's not going to be perfect.
It's a mindset thing. I think everybody, even somebody like me that have been doing this for a long time, sometimes you get stuck into that trying to put that thing perfectly before you launch it. And that you get paralyzed from, I wanted to have this perfect setup. I want the perfect background. I want the perfect mic. But at the end of the day, it's just like you surround yourself with people that are doing it. You get the right team involved, and that keeps you motivated, and you're just cranking them out. And then you learn. You're going to screw up, and then you're going to learn, and you're going to improve.
That's it, man. You hit the nail on the head. All right, let's talk a little bit about real estate here. So you've been doing it now for 15 years. So obviously that you've seen some funny markets. Let's talk about the 2021-22 frenzy market.
We call this the fake years.
How was it over there in South Florida when it came to this market?
Yeah, it was interesting. I'll tell you how it started. For me, when 2020 happened, I was sitting in my office at home, and I'm like, wow, this is pretty much the end of real estate. I'm going to actually have to do something different and try to figure this out because nobody's going to be seeing houses. And went to the office. Everybody was working from home. And I'm one of these guys that I have to go in. I cannot work from home. I have to dress up. I have to get in my car. I have to do that routine. And I came to the office and I'm just doing my regular prospecting, calling people, following up with clients. And I realized there is still interest. Like people are still interested in trying to get out there, trying to see homes, and then interest rate continued coming down. And we're looking at these numbers. And then the phone started ringing more and more. And I realized that, wow, this is an opportunity where people want to buy houses no matter what it is. So Florida is one of the states that stayed open, I think, the whole time. Maybe we had a shutdown maybe for a day, but after that, we just kept cranking and we sold a bunch of homes. Again, I've done this since 2008, 2009. And this 2020, 2021, one of these years that anybody could sell real estate. It was just like anything
Mm,
you touch was selling. And when I would go to a listing appointment, you would get, it would just throw a number. And then they were like, this is the number that I want. And we would list it. And then within minutes, we would have a line of people outside. What is happening?
yeah.
So we call it a fake year because this was the unbelievable opportunity. And of course, we saw a lot of people coming in. And then, of course, like anything that happens that comes up must come down. Then now we're in 2025 that a lot of real estate agents stop working and renew their licenses and haven't done any transaction. And now we're into the reality of things. So you had a fun, it's like a fun night out with friends. And then now the reality of real estate that you have to work harder to make those things happen.
But you know what? And now that, and I'm sure you're going through the same thing because right, this market that we're in right now, it's a very weird market. And it's one of those where, I tell sellers right now, yeah, it's definitely a buyer's market over here, especially in the state of Florida. But I'm like talking to sellers, number one, sellers still think that they're still in that frenzy market.
Yeah.
That's number one. And then number two, what should we list it at? I'm like, here, we do the whole rundown with them, and this is what you should list at. And then, nah, I want to go a little bit higher. Like, all right, listen, you could do that, but here's the problem. You're going to stay on the market a lot longer because now your days of contract are longer in the state of Florida. And I just feel as if when we're speaking to certain people, it's one of those when you're talking about this market, I'm like, it's a weird market to put my finger on because I've never seen a market like this.
Yeah.
It seems like this is a market of we don't know what's going to happen in the next 3 to 6 months. So we don't feel safe, but the only thing we feel safe with is the bubble or the state that we're in right now. So we don't know if we want
Mhm.
to make any moves right now for
Yeah.
to buy a house or whatever it is. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I do. I talk to a lot of people, and what I've realized the change is before people would move just for the feeling of moving, the emotional stage of moving. They will be like, we've been living in this house for 5 years. We've had the kids are grown. Let's go ahead and buy a house. Now, the people that are really have the motivation, and these are the listings that are really selling because they're priced right, is the people
Mm,
that have to move, either job change or separation or somebody passed away or something extreme that is forcing that to happen where they have to sell. These folks, they are more motivated. And when I'm meeting with them in the same conversation you're having, I'm having the same conversation about let's determine where the price is. It is a science to it, a specific way you can do it. You have the facts and the stats from the previous month. You see where the trajectory of the market is. This is not the market where you want to price it above the market. I give my clients options. I'm like, hey, this is the currently where the market is. This is what it will take for it to sell within the next 30 to 60 days. If you want to get it, it sits in the market longer and then you don't have no motivation, you're going to have to be at or above market. But if you really want it to move, you want to catch where the market is going and price it below the market value and then get more interest. And the sellers that are motivated and want to sell, they understand that. They see it. They see we show them the days on the market. We show them people that are withdrawing. So we show them the facts that a lot of people they get on social media, they talk to their friends, and that's where they're getting the knowledge. So when they come to me, that is a professional, I show them, hey, this is the reality. This is what is really happening. And that changes their expectation. And then they, wow, I think you're right. I think this is what we need to do, and we get it done.
yeah. Yeah, and we have some where they're like, "Yeah, we hear you, and let me know if you're going to. We hear you, but we're just gonna try it anyways and see what happens because our house is this special."
Let them do it. Omar,
Yeah.
this is the crazy thing is I let them do it. What I do is I see that they hire another agent and it sits in the market for 90 days, 120 days, and it goes expired. And then I would then call. I'm like, hey, this is me again. We spoke a few months ago. I saw you tried it. I have some new tools that I think you should see and what I can do differently. And at that time, you want to be the second realtor in this market.
Yeah.
Because if
Yeah.
you're the first one, you're going to get burned and thinking that you're gonna get this, but second time around, the sellers or the client's gonna realize that okay, maybe it's time that I listen. This is not a make a wish type of thing anymore. Now the reality of what we need to do to get the home sold is different than what it was in 2021, 2020. It's not just listing the house and letting it sell itself. Is You got to do the right marketing. You got to do the outreach. You have to do a lot more to promote the home and then just putting it up in the MLS.
100%. Let's talk about the interest rate myth. Why
Mm,
waiting for rates to drop is costing you money.
yeah.
Now, can you jump into this? Now, debunking the I'll wait for rates to fall mindset that you have so many buyers on the sidelines. So have you dealt with this where you
Oh,
have,
yeah.
and mind you, that you probably been talking to this buyer now for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you should have done it a while ago.
Yeah.
This is how I think I differ from others. Everybody do it a certain way. And I never want to make it where I'm forcing somebody to do it because I think it's a great idea and then you should do it too. Is I educate them. I'm like, this is what is your situation right now? Are you renting? Do you want to be in this area for more than 5 or 7 years? If the point is you see yourself being here 5, 7, 8 years in the future, owning is a good idea. Don't worry about the interest rate. Just buy something you can afford within your budget because you're gonna need to live somewhere anyways. Either you're gonna pay rent or you're gonna have a mortgage or something you own. Now, if the conversation is, hey, my job may switch me somewhere else, my situation may change, I'm in a relationship, maybe I'm moving, great, rent. There is some great opportunity. This is one of this time, and since I've been doing this for now close to 17 years, actually, that is actually some areas are cheaper to rent than to. So if that is your situation, I take the rate off the table. I'm like, forget about the rate. What is a number? What is your mortgage payment that you're comfortable with? Let's start with that. If I can find your property that is within your budget, within the price point that you want, where you can afford it, where you would have rent anyways, let's see what we can get. And then when I put it that way, that meant of, oh, my friend got 3% interest rate. I don't want to pay six because I feel like I'm paying too high. That's just I try not to even attack that because I'm gonna lose I'm gonna lose that conversation because in their mindset, they've already made up their mindset on that. So I just focus on the monthly payment more.
Yeah, and that's huge. And we pretty much have the same conversation as you as well. And I think it's then we deal with the ones that have been sitting on the sidelines for the past 2 years, or maybe even three. I'm like, listen, that same house that you were wanting to buy was on the market for 400,000. Now
Yeah.
look how much it's worth 3 years later. I was like, so every time that you're sitting and waiting for, like we talked about earlier, everything to be perfect, right?
Yeah.
You're losing money because rents aren't coming down. Rents
Yeah.
keep on increasing year over year. The cost of living gets higher.
That's true.
So it's one of those to where, and at the same time, listen, anybody listening, I understand that some people love renting and not knocking that. It is what it is. At the end of the day, whatever you're comfortable with, then absolutely. If renting is more of your style, nothing wrong with that at all. But if you're that person that kind of says, okay, I want to build something in the future to pass on to whoever, my kids, my spouse, whatever it may be, then that's something that maybe you need to start looking into purchasing.
Real estate is the biggest wealth builder. Anybody that have majority of people that are super wealthy own real estate. So there is no doubt that owning real estate will always help you build that automatic saving because you're paying down your mortgage, the appreciation of land, material, the cost of everything else going up. So you have that way for you to actually secure something for yourself. And then that can be physical asset that can be then passed along that still maintain or have increased in value. Again, a lot of people still focus on that interest rate number because they
Mhm.
know it is still fresh in their mind that they could have gotten a lower rate a few years ago and then they missed out and they're waiting for that to happen. And of course, I tell them, listen, like you own that property. When that rate comes back, it's a simple thing of making a phone call and getting that refinance done. And you get that rate. You already have that property because if you wait for then that frenzy of the low rate to come back again, what do you think is going to happen? Everybody else that is in the sideline waiting, they're all going to jump in. And now, instead of you being in a position where you can negotiate closing costs paid for you, lower price, anything else that you can do now because the buyer, it is a buyer's market, you're going to lose that opportunity because there's going to be more option and the seller's going to say, hey, this next person is going to be willing to pay me more because they have more money than you. So then you're going to be back to that missed opportunity again. So again, if you can afford it, if it is within your budget, if it is within the price point that you want to be in an area that you think you're going to be living there for the next 5 to 7 years, purchase. On it, it will appreciate.
Agreed. Agreed. Have you been dealing with any assumable loans?
I have done couple. I have done couple.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
We're in transition. We have a couple people looking into it right now. So tell us a little bit about your experience right now with those.
Yeah.
How have those
I,
gone?
have you seen it now in the multiple listed system? There's a section now for assumable loan. I don't know if and another
Yep.
MLS there is one now, so you can put that in there. Both time it it helped us. We were in a listing side on that one, so we represent the seller in that one. And in both ways, it did help the seller sell the property. And however, it was a very lengthy process.
Hmm.
It is both parties have to really communicate. Like the seller have to be willing to make that extra step and communicate. A lot of the lenders, I think, I don't want to drop name of that company, but it's a very well known company that I'm just scooter, and they were not very cooperative on trying to get the package together and getting that done. But you had two parties that really wanted to get this done. The seller did everything on their side to get it done, and the buyer was very responsive on trying to communicate and getting things done. So it made the process easier for us to do at the end. And it took us about 3 months or so to get it done, and from contract to close, and that worked out. The other one, we started it, and in the middle of doing it, the buyer actually stopped with the process because they were able to find a better rate with the lender that they were with. It is an option. It is a way to help the sellers, and it is an opportunity for the buyers also, depending on how much the difference between the appreciation that the seller have, the gap between the loan to value that they have compared to the equity that they want to cash out in. If the number is not significant, it'll work out. If the number is significant, it is very difficult to find a second lender that will be able to be in second position on that. So that's the difficulty that I've been having.
Okay. And so when you're going through this, when it comes to the assumable loan, are you doing okay? Let's say I'm the buyer. I call you. Hey, listen, I see that your client has an assumable loan of 2.2%. How do I go about this? Are you trying to say, okay, listen, you're interested, awesome, but we need an offer first. So what's your offer? And then from there, we can pitch it to the seller and then see if this is even, if you guys are even close to numbers.
Yeah. I do want to say first, are they currently pre-approved? So I want to make sure that they've already done that process. They're not just calling because they see the low rate. Do they have a lender? Do they already have a fully approved loan? They've done that process. So if that is done, then let's discuss how much they want to purchase.
Yeah.
Second is depending if the seller, the equity, this one worked out perfectly because the owner purchased it. Maybe I think I did this last year. So I think it was 2023 purchase and it was looking to sell in 2024. So the appreciation was significant. It was somewhere like 10% that the loan balance and the amount that we're trying to sell it for. So all the buyer needed to come up with was that difference of 10%. Now, if we're doing it where this person purchased the house in 2021 and the difference is like $100,000, $150,000, that's
Mm.
usually where that difficult part is because that buyer has to either come out of pocket for that difference or get a mortgage or loan that will be able to cover that. And in many cases, when that happens, when you see the interest rate, the second mortgage company or second loan is gonna be, it's usually when you average it out, you end up being, you should have just get a regular loan at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
It,
that
it is
makes
not easy. It is an option. It is a tool that we use. We put it on the MLS. We put it on our sign. And if we find that buyer that wants to do that, we have the conversation. We find out if they're pre-approved, and then we discuss it with the seller. And then at that point, what we need to do is to have the seller's lender actually approve the buyer for that loan.
no, I love it. So there's been talk about potentially an option out there of a different mortgage. I'm sure you heard about the chatting going
Which
on.
one? Tell me more.
Well, yeah, yeah. Not the 400-year one, but the so there's chat where they want to give you a 50-year option as well. What are your thoughts on
Yeah,
that?
I have I understand the why people have that frenzy in their mind that they're looking for a solution. So whenever somebody just come up with an idea, people get that frenzy thinking that it is maybe that's what we need. Maybe that's gonna make home more affordable. But anybody that is in this business can understand that it is really not that much of a difference for a buyer to get, a 30-year loan to a 50-year loan. The payment is really small and difference. And just to be honest with you, like if imagine this, imagine you buy a house at 30 years old and then you have to keep this mortgage. Although most people don't keep the mortgage for the whole time, but
Yeah.
imagine if you did. You'll be 80 years old paying this mortgage. Like it's pretty much as if you're buying an interest only loan because you're just gonna pay three times or four times the amount that you pay for. So I have 2 points on it. As an agent, as a realtor, and a team leader, I see it again as just another tool to offer. Everybody have a need. So the more tools that I have in my toolbox, the more that I can help people. So I don't reject it. It will fit a category of people the same way as an assumable loan may fit a category of buyers. So if they come out with it and they do it, great. I'll educate my clients, say, hey, if you do this, yes, you'll be able to afford a little bit more of a property. Your payment may be a little bit less, but understand in the long term, how is this going to affect you? And as long as they have that information and they choose to jump in and do it, great. Same way that if there is like a 15-year mortgage, you can pay it faster. It's going to be a higher mortgage payment. But again, that's an option that somebody has. So it is not the save all, do all that people are hoping it to be. But for me, I just see it as just an extra tool to offer a buyer that it may work for them, that they could afford a house now they were not able to before. But in the long term, they're going to pay a lot more interest if they keep it for that time. So that's my 2 cents.
Yep. No, I like that there's more tools in the toolbox because right now, what you have a 15, you have a 30, and then obviously now if they pass this, then you have a 50. So yeah, there are more options in the toolbox, and it's just one of those where I guess if somebody did choose the 50, I would say, listen, just use it as a ladder or catapult just to get you in, but try to pay it off, or just it might be something that, you know what, maybe refinance it back to a 30 or a 15 once you get to a certain level, but don't get too comfortable. Because then if you
Yeah.
get too comfortable, then it's okay, now you got this 50-year freaking loan.
Yeah.
So I see it where it could definitely help you get on the real estate ladder, but as
Yeah.
long as that real estate agent is explaining to that client, just use it to get on the ladder, but don't use it to just ride the ladder all the way through.
Yeah. That's where
Right.
education and people like us that is in the business been doing it for a long time to let clients know exactly, because you don't want any surprises. You don't want them to get all excited and then they don't understand what it is that they're signing. And I think that's the same thing that happened. I was in the business in 2005. I don't know how long you've been doing it, but this is what ended up happening. These people were signing those adjustable rate mortgage and they didn't understand what they were signing.
Mm.
So most of them didn't. And I think that's where a lot of people got in trouble. But if I'm gonna have a client and I want to have clients that are friends and friends for a lifetime, everybody that have service, we still keep in contact. I still check in with them. I get invited to parties. I get invited to the birthday parties. So I want to still have that same relationship with them. And I'll tell them this is, as you said, if this is what it takes for you to get into a home, for you to purchase a home, let's use that tool and let's get it done. But be cautious again, how long you want to keep that. So if again within the next 2 3 years, interest rate do come down to where you could refinance it to a different type of loan. Possibly there may be some costs involved in doing that, but again, that will help you pay off the loan faster. Let's do that. But as long as they're getting in with the full knowledge to understand that long term, they're gonna be paying a lot more interest than if they did a 30-year.
Yeah,
That
agreed.
would be where I would do.
Agreed. All right, just a couple more questions here. What lessons can first-time buyers learn from the current market dynamics? Okay, and what I mean by that is education and mentorship. What do you think? What do you guys do? Do you have an education with a mentorship and kind of so it can transform their confidence into saying, you know what? Yes, I can do this.
Yeah. Yeah, we service a lot of first time buyers. Again, as an immigrant here, and a lot of our clients are also immigrants from Haiti or from other part of the world. And people get excited about the prospect of, I think I'm ready to purchase a home. So whenever they call our office, again, we share that excitement with them, but we bring them into the office or we do a Zoom call and we do a presentation to them. And we walk them through the process of what is it going to be and what to expect from getting that pre-approval done, what documentation you're going to need, going through the process of making an offer, like these paperwork that you're going to sign, what do they mean? Contingencies, when you go to that process, what happens next, getting an inspection. And luckily we have relationship with a lot of great vendors
Mhm.
that have the same mindset of mentorship and education that will actually go through that process with them even before they get hired to, hey, this is what we look for. So that way they can put their mind at ease, because signing something for $500,000, 500,000, $600,000 loan, that's a big purchase. And they're on the hook for it. So I want to make sure that they understand what they're signing. And we go through that presentation of step by step. And then by the end of it, they feel comfortable, they trust us, they know that they're in good hands, and they feel more comfortable moving forward. So education is key for us.
Yeah, 100%. All right, last question. If you could
Sure.
leave just one deed behind, one action, mindset, or even a lesson for anyone listening today, whether they're a real estate professional, entrepreneur, etc., what would that be?
It's a good question. I didn't know about that one. So let me think about it. My life have changed a lot from being a solo agent to being a team leader to where I see my team going in the future. And if I were to think about one thing now where I am, I would say version zero, version one is better than version zero. Meaning that if you stay and you do nothing, you will be exactly where you're going to be the next year, because we're going into 2026 now. But if you do one thing better, if you just wake up and say, I'm going to do that one thing better, that one thing is going to be way better and then version zero of you not doing anything else. Don't think about the bigger picture of, hey, I want to, like, my goal to be able to close like 500 transactions for the year. If I'm like, wow, this is big, all I need to do is I'm going to try to do 1% better of what I have done the month before. That would be good enough for me, because long term, I know that is going to be compounded into more. So always trying to do one thing better than you did last week or the day prior.
Love that. Love that. No, definitely. So always moving the needle. You always got to move
That's
that
right.
needle, right? No matter
Just a
what. So
little
that's
bit at a time. No matter if you're feeling down, you're sick, family problem, any type of excuses you can find, we all have it. And I'll tell you this one thing I always tell to my team is we always feel like we don't have enough time in a day to do things. And I'm like, Elon Musk has the same amount of time and he's doing 4 or 5 different businesses. I'm like, if he find a way to manage so many obstacles, what am I doing? I know some people love him, some people hate him, but I think that he's contributed a lot. And I'm like, what he's created, I'm like, if he has time to build Tesla, the Boring Company, all the other stuff, I'm like, I have the same amount of time. He's leverages time. He focuses on just the main things and get things done. So let's focus on what it is that we need to do to move that needle instead of letting all the noise around us distract us.
exactly 100%. Lumi, it's been absolutely amazing having you on. It's like a fresh of breath air. Just you're easy to talk to, my man. You're
Thanks,
easy to
man.
talk to.
He's here.
But listen, thank you so much. You definitely
Yeah,
gave us a lot of good nuggets for this show, and hope
awesome.
I'm sure the viewers will think exactly the same. So,
Appreciate it, man.
guys, thank you so much for listening again to the Mr. Deed podcast show. Listen, I want you to remember that actions build empire. Stay focused, stay hungry, and sometimes you just got to give life a little bit of whammo. I'm Omar Andreasen, also known as Mr. Deeds. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Mr. Deed podcast show.
This is Omar Andreasen signing off and reminding you that success in real estate and in life is built one deed at a time. Until next time, keep it real, stay sharp, and don't forget to give life a big whammo and keep moving forward.